Has this ever happened to you? You give a man your time, your energy, your affection, yet he drifts away. He grows distant, as if you were just one of many. The more effort you invest, the further he retreats, and you're left confused, powerless, and burning with frustration. Perhaps you've tried everything. You've been the perfect girlfriend, the passionate lover, the patient partner. You've given him second, third, even 10th chances. You've excused his coldness, justified his indifference, magnified his smallest gestures into grand signs of affection, and still nothing. He remains a maddening mystery, always seeming on the edge of surrender, yet never fully choosing you. Today, at Mentalidad de Oder, you'll uncover a brutal truth, a truth that will shake the foundations of what you thought you knew about attraction and forever change the way you relate to men. That truth is this: the male ego, this fragile yet powerful force, does not respond to your kindness or endless patience. It does not awaken through desperate efforts. It instinctively responds only to what you make him feel. And when you learn how to touch those hidden emotional strings, when you grasp the deeper layers of his psychology, you can transform his perception of you. You can make him crave you with a force that surprises even him. Think of you day and night. Seek you with an urgency he cannot control. And all of this without you taking even a single step toward him. No, this is not about cheap manipulation or feeding the games of egomaniacs. This is about understanding the male mind from a place of strength, using psychology as your quiet advantage with calmness, presence, and emotional strategy, like a truly confident woman. Because a man's ego works differently from a woman's. Women desire admiration and respect for their achievements. Men, at their deepest core, yearn to feel irreplaceable, chosen, and singular. They crave selective attention, constant proof of their attractiveness and power, and, yes, often a sense of emotional control. Inside even the most confident man lives a recognition-hungry boy disguised beneath the body of an adult. Every gesture of admiration feeds him. Every trace of neediness inflates him. That is why the game dies when you become predictable. When he knows exactly how you'll react, the charm disappears. But here lies his hidden weakness and your greatest opportunity. If you, with the wisdom of a confident woman, interrupt that constant flow of validation he expects, if you refuse to be his endless source of admiration and reassurance, you throw him into emotional darkness. And in that silence, something awakens. The urgent need to reassert himself through you, to win back the special feeling only you can give. That is the spark of obsession. Every time you chase him when he pulls away, every time you over-explain, beg, or prove your worth, you only inflate his ego further. And an inflated ego does not love. It only delights in the power of your submission. It is emotional cocaine, addictive, intoxicating, but never fulfilling. He will always want more, yet never respect you more. The more you feed the beast, the less he values you, for you have shown you're willing to diminish yourself for him. You must break this cycle. You must create a new dynamic, one in which you are the prize, one in which he wonders if he still matters to you, if he still holds any power over you at all. How do you achieve this shift? How do you go from the one chasing to the one being chased? Through 3 psychological weapons: emotional scarcity, selective silence, and strategic withdrawal. Men do not obsess over safe, predictable stability offered by the agreeable woman who gives everything. They fall for emotional intensity, for the challenge of a woman they cannot fully grasp or control. Think about it. How many times have you seen a man chasing after the woman who treats him poorly, while ignoring the one who will give him the world? This is not masochism. His primitive brain equates challenge with value. What is too easily gained cannot be worth much. That is how his subconscious is wired. And so, I'm not speaking of toxicity or manufactured drama. I'm speaking of controlled emotional unpredictability, of breaking patterns, of refusing to play the role he expects. Because if every time he pulls away, you respond with neediness and pleading, you don't draw him closer, you drive him further into control. But if, in the very moment he withdraws, you quietly step back with calm determination and the unshakable attitude that your life does not revolve around him, without drama, Without explanation, he enters a silent but powerful emotional crisis. And that, my dear, is precisely where obsession begins. What happened? Did she stop caring? Has she already replaced me? His mind, so accustomed to emotional control, suddenly loses its balance. It's as if you've secretly rewritten the rules of the game, and now he no longer knows how to win. Every man longs to feel desired. That is a primal need. But no man wants to feel certain he owns you, like you are a guaranteed possession. The paradox is cruel yet undeniable. The more secure you feel in having him, the less attractive you become. The more secure he feels in having you, the less he invests. It's a vicious cycle, but it can be broken. And it is broken the moment you understand this. Power in relationships is never begged for. It is radiated. So how do you play this delicate yet explosive balance? By showing interest, but in measured doses. Yes, reveal that he fascinates you, but never that you need him. Never that he is the center of your world. Cut the thread exactly when he expects more. End the call at the height of a good conversation. Walk away when the connection is strongest. Leave him hungry, unsettled, chasing. That is a masterstroke against his ego and his constant need for control. Don't surrender the rhythm of your relationship to his whims. You set the pace. You decide when you are available. Picture this. He sends you one of those vague messages, a half-hearted text meant to test your reaction. The average woman replies with worry, asking for clarity, feeding his game. But a confident woman, she steps back. She might leave it unanswered, or respond with a neutral, almost careless tone. No trace of neediness, no emotional pleading. Not from childish pride, but from deep, steady strength. That single choice shatters his entire strategy. He expected your fear and received indifference. He dangled bait and you never even noticed. And suddenly, he is thrown off balance, forced to realize he does not hold the power over you he believed he did. Silence becomes your weapon. Not cold, not petty, but deliberate, controlled, devastatingly powerful. Want him to think of you endlessly? Then stay silent exactly when he expects your words. Offer no explanations when he waits for one. Seek no validation when he withholds it. Withdraw quietly, with a dignity that unsettles him to his core. Because silence carries a weight that words never can. When he is used to your constant presence, your explanations, your predictable attention, the sudden absence of it all becomes deafening. And in that void, he cannot stop thinking of you. And in that silence, his mind begins to fill with questions, doubts, and finally, obsession. This uncertainty, not caused by him but carefully created by you, disrupts his pattern of control. It unsettles him, it forces him to reconnect with you emotionally. Because suddenly, with a sharp wound to his ego, he realizes he could lose you and for no clear reason. That sense of imminent, unexplained loss shakes him to his core. It consumes his thoughts. It makes him long for you with a force greater than ever before. For a man can resist 1,000 logical arguments, ignore 100 declarations of love, but he cannot resist the quiet power of a woman who radiates emotional certainty. A woman who does not bow to his moods, who does not take his provocations as commands, who does not need his approval to feel whole. Her presence alone must speak of self-mastery, an unbreakable calm, a silence louder than any plea, an energy directed first toward herself, her mission, her growth, not toward him. When the woman carries herself with this kind of unshakable certainty, something primitive awakens in the male brain. Instinctively, he recognizes her as rare, untouchable, someone beyond the reach of his usual games. Remember this. A man does not become obsessed with a woman who gives him endless, unquestioning devotion like a servant. He becomes obsessed with a woman who remains an elegant mystery, an emotional prize he risks losing if he does not fight for her. Every time you try to prove you are good enough for him, every time you plead for his attention, try to demonstrate what a wonderful partner you could be, you hand him your power. You feed his ego while stripping away your own allure. It is as if, with every desperate gesture, you whisper, "Please value me." You may never say the words aloud, but they echo in your actions. And yet, a man will never truly value what he is begged to appreciate. He only values what he fears he might lose. Respect, admiration, genuine desire, these are never earned on bended knee. They are awakened through strategic silence, calculated withdrawal, and a deliberate scarcity of validation. Let him feel the difference, the sharp contrast between having you, believing he had you, and realizing he no longer does. Let him see that your life doesn't just continue without him, it thrives. Let him feel the sting of doubt and regret when it seems you've truly lost interest, even as you watch it all unfold with the calm composure of a confident woman. This may be the hardest part, allowing him to witness your life flourishing without him. But that is what strikes the deepest blow. When he sees you shine brighter outside of his shadow, something inside him fractures. His ego shatters, not through confrontation, not with accusations or harsh words, but through your poised indifference and undeniable progress. You don't need to tell him. You show him with facts too clear to deny. Rise in every area of your life, physically, mentally, professionally, socially. Let him hear whispers of your success, see glimpses of your joy, sense that you are surrounded by people who find you captivating, not through bragging, but by simply living fully. Radiate confidence and irresistible charm until it becomes undeniable. You are not waiting for him. Invest in yourself as if you were your greatest project. Every day you neglect yourself is a day you strengthen the weaker version of you, the one who once begged for attention. Let your new self become magnetic, fascinating, overflowing with her own energy. So much so that he cannot help but realize letting you go was the greatest mistake of his life. When a man feels compared not because you ever compare him, but because he senses he is no longer your only option, no longer the center of your world, his mind unravels. Desire is reborn, fierce and consuming, for what he no longer holds. His pride burns for restoration. The ego that once lounged comfortably on your constant attention now trembles on high alert. And an ego in crisis will do anything to restore its lost validation. Every relationship, even the most chaotic, eventually falls into a routine, a predictable choreography. He does something, you react, and the cycle repeats until it dulls into boredom or distance. Your task is to break that choreography suddenly, decisively. If he plays aloof and ignores your messages, do not respond with fear or pleading. Stay calm, focus on your own life. If he sends cryptic tags or tries to spark jealousy, ignore them with almost offensive elegance, as if they mean nothing. If he attempts to guilt you or manipulate you emotionally, do not engage. Do not play the game. When he tries subtle emotional blackmail, remain firm without defending or justifying yourself. When he reaches out only on his terms, do not be automatically available. The moment you break free from the familiar rhythm, the moment you stop dancing to his tune, he loses his grip on the situation. And almost inevitably, he begins to move to your rhythm instead, to the tempo you set with strategic indifference and inner strength. It is as if you quietly seize the remote control of the relationship. Now you decide when there is closeness and when there is distance, when there is tension and when there is peace. And this shift unsettles him deeply. For when you finally master your emotions and stop craving his attention as if it were air to breathe, something remarkable happens, almost like alchemy. He begins to feel, with a mixture of frustration and fascination, that you are the only woman he cannot bend to his will, the only one who does not fall for his rehearsed tricks. And that drives him mad. For a man who is used to dominating, to charming, to bending women around his finger, the realization is unbearable. He controls everyone except you. That loss of control robs him of his inner calm. It creates a gnawing restlessness, a relentless tension that ties him to you obsessively. You become a riddle he cannot solve, a melody he cannot silence, a thought that lingers before he sleeps and greets him again at dawn. Not because you are dramatic, not because you thrive on conflict, but because you are unpredictably calm, strategically absent, deliberately indifferent. Never forget, a man can resist your finest words, dismiss your most logical arguments, but he cannot resist the void you create with your silence. Your calculated indifference pierces deeper than any explanation ever could. Do not punish him with anger. Do not scream your frustration. Do not explain your new strategy that will be a betrayal of yourself. Simply step back. Disappear strategically from his emotional radar. Turn your focus inward and work on yourself as if your life depended on it. Because in truth, it does. And in this process of personal transformation, something extraordinary occurs. You do not only become more attractive to him, you become more attractive to the world. Your self-worth no longer depends on his recognition. Your happiness no longer rises and falls with his moods. Your inner value no longer shifts with his attention. And if one day you decide the moment is right, or if he reaches out again with genuine interest and serious intent, you will return stronger, more magnetic, more emotionally untouchable than ever before. That is the lethal combination. A woman both fascinating and beyond his control. It makes him chase you, dream of you, crave you without even knowing why. Even then, when you are already operating from a higher level of awareness and power, the rule remains. If he feels he cannot control you, cannot predict you, cannot ever be certain of you, a deep, primitive urge ignites within him. The instinct to prove himself to you, to reassert his importance, to claim back what now feels beyond reach. You are no longer just another woman. You become a constant presence in his thoughts, a mystery he cannot abandon, a silent obsession that lingers even when he tries to look away. That, my dear, is true power, the power of a woman who has mastered her own mind and, with it, the emotional dynamic itself. And here lies the most important truth of all. Once you reach this level of personal strength, it no longer matters whether he falls in love with you or not. Because you have found something far greater than his obsession, you have found yourself, your unshakable power, your unconditional worth, your ability to create the life you truly deserve. Never forget this. You do not need to force anything. You do not need to beg for attention. The real magic, the real power, lies in being emotionally desired, by being the woman who, with wisdom and quiet strategy, leaves just enough space for him to feel the ache of your absence, the sting of potential loss. And it is exactly that space which awakens his desire. He begins to question his own behavior. He starts to seek you, to need you, and all this happens without you taking a single visible step toward him. This genuine desire, born of his own reflection and his bruised ego, is what turns into obsession. A constant craving for your validation, your attention, your presence. Let me repeat this, because it is vital you truly internalize it. This is not manipulation. It is understanding. It is recognizing how the male ego functions, and more broadly, how the human ego operates. It is the decision to stop feeding that ego with neediness, submission, and predictability. It is applied psychology. It is the recognition of emotional patterns and the conscious choice to stop nurturing the toxic ones in order to awaken healthier dynamics. You are not the one who must endlessly prove her worth. He is the one who must feel, in his very core, that he risks losing you if he does not value you, respect you, and invest in the bond you share. And when he finally feels that, when his ego stings from your calculated indifference, your strategic silence, your deliberately measured distance, he will begin to seek you with new urgency. He will start to value you, to long for you, to grow obsessed with you. But by then, you will already be standing on an entirely new level, a place of self-awareness and inner strength, where his obsession no longer defines you,